This is Math 2, 3.5 notes. That's Unit 3, Lesson 5. 3.5, the title of the notes today is Isosceles and Equilateral Triangles. All right, first theorem. States if, well, actually, it's isosceles triangles if it's an isosceles triangle, this is the theorem, if it's an isosceles triangle, the base angles are congruent. And I'm going to put a little note here, the converse is also true. What does that mean? That means it goes both ways. Okay, I'll get this to work. The converse is also true. What does the converse mean? It's going backwards. If the base angles are congruent, then it's an isosceles triangle. If it's an isosceles triangle, then the base angles are congruent. So it goes both ways. All right, so what does that look like? We should know an isosceles triangle has two congruent legs. I'm going to call this A, B, C. And this pointy tip up here is called the vertex angle. This here is called the base side. These are the legs, the base side. And these angles here are the ones that are congruent, and those are called the base angles. All right, so base angles are the two angles that are congruent, and it's the two angles that where the congruent sides come out from. So the two congruent sides come down. Here, those two are the base angles, base side, vertex angle. All right, next theorem. Let's draw an equilateral triangle. Call this X, Y, Z. Equilateral means all three sides are congruent. If a triangle is equilateral, then the triangle is also blank. So, if we have a triangle and all three sides are congruent, we can then assume that all three angles are congruent. We're not just going to assume, it's fact. All these angles would be congruent as well. And we call that equiangular. Equiangular. All right, converse is also true. Again, meaning if I have an equiangular triangle, all three angles are congruent, then all three sides are going to be congruent. We have one more theorem, but I'm going to do that one with you in class tomorrow, so just draw the picture for now. We're going to draw an isosceles triangle, ABC. That's all we're going to draw for now. We'll do the rest together in class. All right. Examples. Find X. Number 1. Now, You have to be careful. Kids always say, well, it looks like these two sides are equal, or this is the way the isosceles triangle should be. Sometimes they're drawn where they look very, like all the sides are the same, so you do have to be careful. All right, x 32 degrees. All right, now we do know this is an isosceles triangle because these two sides here are congruent. The 7 and the 7, which means this is the base side, which means these two are the base angles. So if you hold your picture this way, x and an x, the x goes there. And then you make your equation. X plus 32 equals 180. 2x plus 32 equals 180. Go ahead and hit pause, solve it on your own, hit play, and see if we come up with the same answer. So I am going to subtract the 32. 2x equals 148. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 74. All right, number 2. I give you this angle is 67 degrees. This is x, 12, 12, and 13. So you do want to be careful with these. I'm going to go to mark my congruent sides. This is my congruent side, or those two are my congruent sides. That means this is the base side. So if it helps, you flip it over this way. This is the base side. Those are the congruent sides, which means these two here are the base angles. This up here is the vertex. I'm going to come back to this one. These two are the base angles because they touch the base side. The opposite angle is the vertex angle. And this one, when you flip it around, here's the two congruent sides. Here's the base side, which means that these two are the congruent sides. These two are angles, those two there. And that there is the vertex angle, which means the 67 goes right there. So you do want to be careful. Sometimes the unknown side is x, sometimes the unknown side is the matching with the number. It's not always going to be the same. You do need to know how to read these triangles. So our equation is going to be 67 plus 67 plus x equals 180. Go ahead and hit pause, solve it on your own, hit play, and see if we come up with the same answer. 134 plus x equals 180. Subtract the 134. X equals 46 degrees. All right. Number 3 is tricky. This one gets kids every year, especially on the test, so please, please, please be aware of this one. Okay, 3x minus 4, 2x plus 5, x plus 7, and I'm going to give you this angle at the top is 84 degrees, this one's 48 degrees, and what do? This time the variable x is on the outside. Please never do the outside sides add up to equal to 180. Kids will do that. That plus that plus that is 180. Angles add up to 180, not sides, unless they give you the perimeter is 180. In this case, they did not, so please do not add those outside angles, or sides, sorry, outside sides up to 180. What you have to do is find the missing side. That's the first thing. Angle. Find the missing angle. So add and subtract. And if you do that, it should come out to be 48, which means I'm going to, can you see it? This is the base angle, which means this is the base side. Can you guys see that? Which means these two are the congruent sides. So there's always going to be a distractor on these type of problems, and your distractor is right here. How do we know that's a distractor? If these two are 48, those are my base angles. Those are my congruent angles. They're congruent, which means that these are the two congruent sides, which means this is the distractor. We cross it out, and you set up your equation. 3x minus 4 equals 2x plus 5. I'm going to have you guys go ahead and solve that on your own, And then when we come to class, we'll check it together, and I do have another problem or two that I want to do with you. That is it for this lesson.